Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zach Brown, and joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. Dad, not a whole lot to really do today. We do have a very special guest coming on at the end of this show. We'll let that be a surprise here in a little while for you. Well, if you look at the thumbnail, you know who it is. But we're going to be surprised while we're recording this right now. Let's go over a little bit. The Outlaws raced at Williams Grove. We'll talk to our guests about the Williams Grove thing, if that's kind of foreshadowing what it is. They raced at Weed Sport as well. Basically a battle for second towards the end. David Gravel drove away with it, but it was still a really good race at Weed Sport. They finally did a better job at those New York tracks than they did earlier in the year with some other New York tracks.
Yeah, I was surprised at the track conditions. It was actually a really good racing surface. Like I said before, when we talked about the track, it's really wide. The corners are real wide, but I mean it was where the top was good and you can run down the bottom. So there were, other than for the lead, there was actually quite a bit of passing through the race. But Gravel's really starting to flex his muscle here a little bit. And
he still can't quite get pulled away from Donnie Schatz too much. Though.
If Schatz could qualify.
I have never seen anybody just qualify so poorly and just drive up through the field like it's nothing. The car's fast. It just doesn't qualify well. I don't know if it has anything to do with
10 to 15 cars every night against those guys. Those guys are kind of good.
He just doesn't do well in the heats, but whenever the feature comes, he turns it on, and it's just David Gravel's always up there and doesn't seem to have any bad luck either.
No, that car's really been fast, really operating.
Well, I-55 is the only Outlaws race this week. There's no high limit. They're off until the week after the Knoxville Nationals, understandably. That's next week, and we'll have a big-time preview for the Knoxville Nationals next week. But I-55 was arguably one of the best races last year between Kyle Larson and Logan Schuchart. They were going slide job to slide job the last 10, 15 laps. It was just constant, and I've never seen such good racing, and nobody crashed, nobody ran into each other. It was as clean as you could possibly get and as aggressive driving as you get. Kyle Larson, if people don't remember, got the last corner pass over Logan Schuchart. Schuchart tried to cross back over on the bottom, just not enough momentum to get a win at I-55 last year. It's a 55-lap race on Saturday, so it's a big race. It's a small track, so 55 laps is fine. It's still a long way around for a dirt race, so I expect
a lot of corners.
I expect some high limit guys to go there. I expect Kyle Larson to come back there and maybe try to defend his title. I know he loves this track a lot. Yeah. So you'll see a mixture of high limit and Outlaws here. Should be another exciting couple nights at this track.
The only thing I think would keep some of those guys away may be preparing for the Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah, it won't keep Larson.
But I believe the Knoxville 360 Nationals are this weekend.
Yeah, so a couple of those drivers, if they want to try to figure out to get a leg up on the Nationals, they'll race the 360s to try to understand the track conditions, even though you can never understand the track conditions at Knoxville because they're different every single day of the year.
But just a quick note, the Darren Pittman in the 69K is going to be running the 360 Nationals out there. They leased or borrowed an engine from somebody.
Yeah, that's
get some more laps. But yeah,
so I wonder if they're just keeping the trailer out there, and
I would think they're just going to stay out for the whole week. It's 24-hour tow. You ain't going to go back and forth. You might as well just stay there.
Yeah.
But back to I-55. So you look at the I-55's website. They label it as a high banked bull ring. So it's a quarter mile. Track record is 9.995 seconds, set by Kyle Larson in 2020, and that's how you. And we were talking about the race from last year, and that's how you pass and make it exciting. That there's going to be, because it's probably going to be the fastest way. It's probably going to be around the top. So you're going to get that run. You're going to dive it in there, slide up in front of them, and the guy's going to turn around and dive back under you and probably do it to you the next corner. So this is one I can't wait to see this one. This is going to be a fun race to watch.
Yeah, I-55 doesn't usually let down. They take pride in keeping the track really. I'm not sure if this is the track that had a lot of damage on the fence last year. There was from the first night, and there was a lot of, I don't know if somebody crashed into the fence and they had to fix it. I can't remember if it was this track or one of the other ones that was a similar bull ring track, but I know one of the tracks had that they had to like emergency fix the fence for the next show. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to get the next day in or not, so I couldn't remember if it was this one or a high limit race. But yeah, it's sure to add a lot of excitement. Again, back-to-back nights for the Outlaws, and they get prepared for the ever so illustrious Knoxville Nationals. So we're excited for that, and maybe we'll try to get a guest on for the Knoxville Nationals as well. But as we always do, let's give our picks for I-55, and this is not going to be the longest episode for at least previewing stuff because there's not a lot going on because the Olympics are taking part of that, and we don't know anything about those sports, so would not be able to give any good insight on that thing. I do know USA is dominating in a lot of stuff, especially Simone Biles. So shout out to her.
For sure.
All right. Anyways, I-55 2 nights, night 1, night 2. Who are you going with?
So night 1, like I said, you got to be a hard charger and run the crap out of it. So I'm going to go with Gio Selzy night 1. He's definitely not afraid of staying on the gas. Night 2, how do you bet against him big money? Got to go with David Gravel.
Well, I'm going to go for night 1, the guy that's got all the momentum right now, David Gravel, points leader. But night 2, I think on a little revenge tour right here from last year wants to get that second place taste out of his mouth. I think I'm going to go with Logan Schuchart.
Okay.
And
you're welcome, Sheldon. Nobody picked you this week.
Yeah, so you've got a shot now. Well, I guess without further ado, let's get our guest on here. Before we welcome in our guest for this week, want to give a shout out to our partner, W Energy. Make sure you go check them out at w.gg. Use my discount code ZBHP. They have a tremendous plethora of energy supplements, hydration supplements, and now they have cans. So check them out. Use my discount code. Get 10% off your order. It's pretty much free shipping. They've got great stuff. They are a local U.S. small business. Keep supporting them. They are slowly expanding. Get in on the action now. Great stuff, great flavors, great energy supplements, great people. W Energy, w.gg, discount code ZBHP, 10% off. Let's welcome in our guest. Well, joining with us right now is a special guest. You can call him the most recent World of Outlaws Slayer, representing the PA Posse strong. Saved the PA Posse from getting swept this past weekend at Williams Grove. TJ Stutts. TJ, we appreciate you coming on with us and talking to us.
I appreciate you guys having us on.
Well, let's dive in right now. Congrats on your first World of Outlaws win. And I mean, it came out of nowhere and it was awesome. And it just seemed like everything was adding up right the whole entire night. And you're able to hold off probably the best outlaw that's been here in the whole year, the front runner for the championship, David Gravel. And basically, it was almost speechless in victory lane too. It's like, holy shit, we did it.
Well, I mean, we've had some really good outlaw shows. We just were never able to capitalize to this extent off of it. I mean, we I don't even remember what. I think first year we really come back to 410 racing. Every week we're running second to Shane Stewart. We led half the race. Then they had a yellow with 2 to go, and we got a right rear flat. I think we were on 5th or 6th. So, and then back in the Trome car we run second. So we've led some outlaw shows. We've had some opportunities to win. We just never did it.
Yeah, it was very impressive. And I didn't get to watch it live, but I was watching the highlights, and I didn't know who won. I tried to keep off social media until I watched the highlights of them. And the highlights, they show pretty much the entire race. And I'm up there, I'm like fist pumping, I'm like, come on, get it done, because that's cool. It's always awesome to see somebody that's not affiliated with the Outlaws and not affiliated with any type of full-time racing, because this isn't the full-time job like you guys are saying. This is essentially what you do for like golf for other people that other people do. So, and you have full-time jobs anyways. So it's awesome to come out there and beat the ones that spend millions of dollars every single year traveling across the country and getting that big win.
Yeah, and I mean, when I use the commentary that this is golf, what I mean more by that is it isn't our full-time thing. Mm-hmm. Is it the same as you and your dad and your brother going and playing golf? On a Saturday morning, probably not. There's probably a lot more work that's involved in it. I mean, it's a 5-6 day a week plus the days we race, so you might as well just call it a 7-day a week deal when you race 2 days a week in Pennsylvania. I mean, come home. I don't even know where to start. So like Sundays, you wash from Saturday night, and then you get a couple hours of free time in the afternoon, and you come home from work at Monday at 5 or 6, and you spend 2 or 3 hours in the shop and do that rinse and repeat until Friday, and then you gotta at some point mow the grass and do a little bit of housework, and pretty much you have no life when you race 2 days a week, and you try to throw a couple of extra midweek shows in there. It's just a lot more daunting than people think. But it really is just our side gig. It's not like we do it for money or we do it for the fame. We do it because we love racing, and I always say I love the chess part of it more than anything, just because it is gotten so technical, and the racing part of it and everything. It's just that's what I get out of it. That's my enjoyment.
Yeah, and I figure if you take all that time to get the car ready for the next week, and that's assumed nothing bad happened the weekend before. That makes it even tougher if you got to build a new car or repair a car or something like that.
Well, and Jeff, this, sometimes it's not even about fixing anything. It's just like you get home or you're riding home on Friday or Saturday night, and you go, what just happened? Because we were terrible, and you don't know why. And then you get home and you don't sleep or whatever the deal is, and you're trying to figure out how to get better and try to get better, and then Hoosier throws a curveball at you, and they change the chemical compound of a tire or something, and we don't have warning of that. It's not like we're chemists and we can test every tire or anything like that. You get a bad batch of tires and you're scratching your head, and then the tires change again, and you're magically better. And it's a revolving circle of not knowing sometimes why you're good and why you're not, and just trying to make the best decisions you can every night.
But back to your win, a little hard to tell on the video, but the one cool thing when the Outlaws come into Pennsylvania, no matter who you root for on a weekly basis, if you're a Pennsylvania fan, you want to see any Pennsylvania car. Like, you got people that absolutely hate Danny Dietrich. Danny Dietrich wins, all of a sudden he's the greatest one that night. So how was the fans' reaction when you won that?
I know, and I don't mean this to sound
you were kind of in shock
or lack of understanding, but I guess I didn't really understand. I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life. I've seen the Posse. I've seen them tear down the fences when the Posse wins. For me, I struggle that my win means that much to them, because I race because I love racing. To mean that much to someone else, and my accomplishments to mean something, that was probably the biggest takeaway from winning, when I popped up through a backstretch off the scales and there's people hanging off the fences, and just the amount of noise. I was like, holy crap, what did we just do? Like, that was probably more shocking, the fans' reaction. And I guess it shouldn't be, because I've lived in Pennsylvania, I've witnessed it, I've seen it. But when you're on the receiving end of that, there's not words that can even describe the emotion or the charge that it adds to the emotion that you're already feeling. That we just beat David Gravel, and I'm not trying to put him above any of the other Outlaws, but he is right now probably the most consistently best of them there is. And it's not like he didn't have his opportunities. It wasn't a gimme. There wasn't rubber down. It wasn't one lane because there was a natural disaster with the water truck or something. It just, we had to drive by him on the start, and he kept at us. And that probably means more to me than it would have if we would have won on a rubber down deal. And like I said, the fans' reaction the whole time down the backstretch and into Beer Hill, and it literally shook me. I was like, holy crap, what did we just do?
Well, we've talked about it, and it used to be a long time ago, 10, 15 years ago, the Posse as a whole would compete day in and day out with the Outlaws, and you never really knew who could win those races, and it wasn't a gimme for the Outlaws. In the last few years, it seems like the Outlaws have come in and pretty much dominated, and it's been like, come on, somebody's got to pull through. So it was refreshing to see someone finally take down the Outlaws. And again, we've seen like Rico Abreu, who's not a full-time Outlaw, but he's still a full-time driver. You've seen Larson come in there and win, but to finally see a local person come in and win the track that you won earlier at this year, and it seems this is one of the best years you've had at Williams Grove, so that's awesome to see as well.
Well, I said this to someone, and I don't talk about being sick. It's not something I ever wanted to. I had a lot of people when I first got diagnosed, they wanted to do all this stuff, and I just didn't want to be a crybaby. I didn't want to. I don't know. I didn't want that to be my story. But as I progressed and middle of last year, I really got feeling good again. It was almost like a switch went off sometime between like May and Speed Week. And I was like, oh my God, I can feel things again. And we were riding home the one night, and the kids were in the truck, and it was really quiet. And I said, what's up, boys? And they're like, do you feel better? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, we haven't seen this in a long time. And I guess you don't really know how sick you are or how bad you feel. I don't want to use the word sick. I didn't realize what I was missing until it came back.
Yeah.
And I'm not smart enough. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what the recovery is and what really happened. But when it started to come back, I mean, we've had some really good runs. We've had some nights where we're really, really far off yet. But I mean, that's more the mechanic side of us than I think it is the driver side of it. But I mean, we almost got by Macri at Port, where he pretty much owns the place this year. So we've had some moments where we've been pretty good, and it's very refreshing. And I mean, for all the people that have supported me for so long, it's at least it wasn't all wasted years or wasted money, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. What you got, Dad?
Well, talking about your win, like you were saying, it wasn't like you got out to a 5, 6, 7 second lead and then Gravel ran you down and you beat it. I mean, you were second the whole race. I mean, he was right there the whole time. He was I mean, under you the whole. So it was like, I mean, that was a heck of a race for the lead, pretty much the whole race. So people will be like, well, there's no passing. They started on the front row. Well, who also didn't pass a car? David Gravel. So he didn't pass anybody either. And people forget you are the one-lap track record holder at Williams Grove. It's not like you don't know how to get around that place for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as the gravel thing, I mean, we drove by him on the start, and actually the best thing that he did to us the whole race was he flew me. And it kind of showed me when I turned back under him, and I know he thinks that he needed to just fly me a little harder and got back to the curb, and maybe that's the case. But when he flew me and we drove back underneath of him, I learned a couple things about my race car that I didn't know, because people don't understand, when you're leading at a place like the Grove, and it's not, hey, you just pound the top, or hey, it's just one lane around the bottom. There's about 15 different ways you can do things, especially in 3 and 4, that can dictate your whole night, and like float in the middle or just the angle you got to be at. And when we drove back underneath of him, it actually taught me kind of what I was missing and why I couldn't get through 3 and 4 as well as I did at the end. I mean, the last couple laps, I felt were the best laps we had of the whole night in 3 and 4.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the car looked great the whole night. As I said, it was I don't even know who ran like third, fourth. Didn't even pay attention to that race. We were watching you battle for the lead, which was awesome. But one thing, while we're on here, be sure if you want to give. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to give a shout out, your sponsors and all your crew that helps you, because we all know we can't do this without a whole just fleet of people to help us do what we love.
The first shout out, I think, needs to be to all my manufacturers in today's world. And I think it's some of why I feel PA is a little behind the Outlaws a lot of times. Technology has gotten so critical.
Mm-hmm.
just and trying to keep up with what those guys do. But Matt Hummel at FK Indy on the shock side of it, like I need to rely on him. Bobby from Winners, whatever Winners is working on, whether it be their bars or the rears or anything that is any component-wise stuff. And Dan Musselman from Maxim, I can't even explain the amount of support that those guys give me as a group. And I'm sure there's other ones that I'm missing out there. Jeff Ryan from Wing Dynamics, if I want to try stuff with the wings or I have ideas or he has ideas, it is an entire group effort of the people that you surround yourself with, that for a local team to be able to race on that level, it takes an army, so to speak, behind the scenes. So the manufacturers to me are probably as key to the deal as anybody is. And then as far as the guys that work on the cars, everybody knows my boys. Ethan is in the shop just about every night that he's not at the racetrack. Reese has a girlfriend, so he's MIA a little more than he used to be. But the racetrack takes up a good bit of both of their times too. But they do everything they can still do to support Dad, and I can't thank them enough. And then Rusty Kirchner and Greg Plank, who owns the 11P. And if you see somebody else driving it, it's not because I don't want to. There's some things going on behind the scenes, and he works down at Don Ott's. And Adam Kofer, we got him in his first Outlaw win. He's the new owner of Don Ott Racing Engines, and that's who Greg Plank works for. And that's a huge group effort down there to try to get their stuff back to working, to being outlaw caliper stuff. And I think we proved that we have 2 track records now on it, and Sealands Grove and the Grove, and we won an outlaw show. So I would say we got my stuff headed in the right direction on the motor wise. I got some guys, Rusty Kirchner, he's been with me, God, I don't know, since the end of the Sealands Grove days when we quit racing 360s every week, which I don't even know, that was 16, 17. He's been there pretty much every weekend. And AJ Sassaman and the Hockenberry family, they own a Super Sportsman, but they're at the shop a good bit during the week. That's the part that nobody really gets, I don't think. The during the week stuff is probably more important than the at track stuff. That shop thing, it is just grueling and daunting. And if you don't have people that support that side of it, it's as important. You guys know this is showing up at the racetrack. The showing up at the racetrack, if you do your stuff at the shop, the rest of it's easy.
Right.
I don't want to say easy, but less drama filled. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, the race nights, that's like, that's when we get to have fun. I don't know why my video feed just went out.
We can still hear you, Dad. You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. The camera's blinking at me. Hang on.
All right. Well, anyways, so TJ, how long have you raced in sprint cars? I know 410. You started off, I guess, at least for me, I've seen you in 358s, and then you moved into 410s. How long, I guess, in general, have you raced sprint cars?
I think 98 was the first year we raced. I don't know. Somebody that knows stats better than me and has less concussions would have to give you the exact number. I think 98, 99, we might have raced 10 total 358 races or something crazy. It wasn't very many. And then 2000 was the first year we ran 358s. But, I mean, 2000 to 2004, what would we run? We probably only ran 30 or 35 358 races, and we won some, and no championships. I think we run second at Williams Grove, Sealands Grove, Lincoln. I think I run second at all of them a couple times in the points deal. And then in 05 was our first year we tried to run 410s, and we did that for a year, won a race, rookie of the year, and then came back and I don't know, raced 06, 07, half 08, and then I don't think we sat in another 410 for probably 3 years. Just did the Sealands Grove 360 thing and won a bunch of races and won a championship in that. And when the guy that owned the car I was driving had some health issues and decided that he was done, we were talking as a family and we decided that we wanted to go back to 410 racing in 2000. I think it was 16 or 17. I guess it would have been 17. And then I got hurt in 18 and had my surgery, and it was a downward spiral for a couple of years after that. But I think we're back on the right track now.
Well, you could definitely say that for sure, and it's been impressive. This year's been impressive. So let's have a little bit of fun here. Since '98, you've raced a bunch of tracks, specifically in Pennsylvania. Which one of these tracks is your favorite? I'm definitely going to tag all of them so some of them could start talking smack to each other. That's how they usually do it on social media. But Williams Grove, Sealands Grove, raced at Port Royal, you've raced at Hagerstown, you raced at during Speed Week, all those tracks. So which one do you prefer?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I think they're all very unique. I love the Grove because when I raced go-karts, I raced road race, lay down stuff, very much off the gas, on the gas, technical. And I feel like the Grove races like a road course more than anywhere else we go to. Sealands Grove always has a piece of me because when Charlie Page had it, we ran 358s and 360s. That was my home. I probably have more laps, and I know I have more wins in there than I have in pretty much any other place. So that holds a piece. I'll tell you the one that I really love or enjoy racing at, Path Valley, just because it is so different than anything else we have. I don't really, there's none of them that are really great or terrible, or I like that we get to go different places. There's nights I wish a meteorite would hit Port Royal, and then there's other nights where I think it's one of the best places ever to race at. If your car's good there, it makes the trip home a lot more happy. When your car's no good at that place, there is no, God couldn't fix this. As I heard someone say one time, God with Moses in the sidecar couldn't fix it. It's facts. It's why that 69K is probably the best there, because like I said, I feel like Port Royal, if your car is not dead on, there's no driver that can just fix it. I feel like Williams Grove, even when you're no good, you can choose and make different lines. And people will probably disagree with me on that. And I don't know, that maybe it's just me, but when you're no good at Port Royal, you're just no good, and there's no fixing it.
Yeah.
It's a long night.
Well, another fun question for you. You've raced against a lot of drivers, local and outlaws, and I guess high limit guys now have raced up there. Who's the best driver you've raced against?
Oh, that's a jaded question.
I guess which one's been fun to race locally against? I guess the best locally, and then I guess outlaws coming in.
I can tell you the most rewarding when you get to beat Lance. That is probably the most rewarding, because he is one of the absolute smartest drivers that I've ever raced with. He puts himself in positions that you can't do things to him, and that's to me, that's what makes him as good as he's always been, because he's never been out of control. He's never tore a lot of stuff up, even when he was young. He just was so good at putting himself in good positions and making good decisions. And that's probably one of the, as far as the local guys go, that's probably one of the most respectful guys I've had. I don't know. I never, as far as the outlaw guys go, I think that they're very generationally different. You take Shots. I think Shots is probably the cleanest, best overall that I've ever seen. Every now and then you'll see him where he really sits up in the seat like he used to, and it's like, holy crap, that's the Donnie Shots that I remember growing up watching, going, how did he do that? The new generation of all the outlaw guys, they seem to all race a lot more like the California kids. They are on the gas. There's a lot less, I don't know how to word this. There's a lot less knowing where they're going to land at. They drive so hard, especially the places. where they can get away with it, where the over driving is rewarded. It is just that this whole new generation, it is absolutely incredible to watch how they drive them like it's a video game, and they just run in there and they make it stick, and exit isn't really one of their forethoughts when they enter the corner.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it with the new kid, Corey Day. He's 18 years old, and I don't think he's ever let off the gas on any track he's ever been to. And he randomly goes to Lernerville for the very first time. That's not a track you just go in and win at, and he ends up getting second and damn near got to win. That's an impressive talent, and he's been starting to race in some asphalt stuff. So I always like to see those younger kids and see how they transition to other racing styles too. Like Larson, it's kind of the Larson effect, I think, on all these kids. But we were talking about it I-55 last year, and we've just previewed I-55 this year. But last year, between Logan Schuchart and Kyle Larson, some of the hardest racing I've seen back and forth and the cleanest driving I've seen, but neither one of them let off the gas. And I expect something similar like that. The bull ring races that they've had in the Outlaws these last couple years with all these drivers that never let off the gas, I've been thoroughly impressed with it.
Yeah, it's just the way, in my opinion, the new generation is. And I think that's one thing that California, they've produced some really good drivers here the last couple of years, and I think that the race tracks have made a big difference in that.
Yeah.
The big half miles and the things we have to do in here, staying straight, not twitching, and California, they don't care. They're just on the gas, and like I said, wherever it goes, it goes.
Yeah. What you got, Dad?
Well, I was saying, talking about the young drivers, and you got a couple kids. Are they interested in racing?
Oh yeah, I mean it's all they've ever done. I don't think Reese ever was going to sit in one. I think Ethan, we're working on trying to get him some opportunities to race some. See if we can make that happen. Trying to get all the money people lined up and make that happen with someone without a lot of experience isn't as easy as you would think, but we're working on it. And I think we got a plan here for the next couple of weeks that we might see him. I think he's going to run the Grove Friday night in Plank's car, just kind of get his feet wet and see how that goes. Plus, I think here the next couple of weeks, you're really going to see the field numbers drop off. We always know after Speed Week they do. Everybody's wore out of money, out of cars. Yeah. Can't afford $340 tires.
Yeah.
Whole deal.
Yeah, start saving up for the races like Tuscarora and the National Open in October. Try to get the big money races to end the year.
Yeah, sure. I mean we've already started like the Outlaw show. After that, we last 2 nights here we've worked on trying to get stuff ready. We're already looking at the weekends past Knoxville they got the Dream Race at Port and some stuff. So we're doing some preparation work to try to get ready for those weekends now already.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be here before you know it, and it's easier to stay ahead of the curve than it is to you get behind. It can snowball real quick, and last thing you need to do is go there, half-ass prepared, and then everybody gets mad you're not running good, and nobody knows why. And like you said, all the work it starts at the shop. I mean, that's the part people don't really get to see as much as how much effort and time it takes for everybody working there. And I don't know how your crew is, but most everybody are volunteers that they show up, they work their job, come 4 or 5 hours, 2, 3, 4 nights a week just to help put a car together.
Well, and like take gravel, their payroll is probably more than I spend in a year. Facts of life, and I'm not busting on them. That's what they do for a living.
Yeah.
This is the hobbyist part of it. But Jeff, like one key thing we've learned, and maybe that's probably some of us getting better too. The winter preparation makes the summer grind easier. Like if I don't have it built in March when we push off for the first time, we're probably not going to have it for the year. Just that's how we do our budget, and we have X amount of stuff, and we try to get all of our front axles and rear ends and whatever. Like November, we'll take the crash pile of front axles and rear ends, and we'll try to take, hey, that axle's good. Hey, that center section's good. Hey, that's got a good ring and pinion in it. And we'll try to put rears together for the next year. compared to what we do with the new stuff. And same with the front axles. We go through all the spindles and all the hubs and everything off the crash pile and put that all back together. And that's how we survive. We've learned that if we don't have it done over winter, if we crash during the week and it's not the matter of going to the shelf and pulling it off and putting it on, it makes for a disastrous week.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you don't run good because all you did all week was try to thrash to get the pieces bolted back on, and you didn't work on getting any better.
Yeah, and then you get disappointed and frustrated, and it just get
Yeah, I've always
that's when you hope for a rain out.
Yeah, we haven't had too many of them in the middle of the summer. As much rain as we had a pretty bad start to the year. I think we crashed like 6 out of the first 8 races or something stupid. Not just a matter of being in the pile, but I've always said racing's like kind of like being married. You got to have the money's got to be good. If a mistress gets involved, it's bad. If the marital relations, which is the racing, if that's all good, everybody's happy. It's so much about personal relationships and being able to have the right people and the right equipment and the right money people involved. And I mean, I have a couple sponsors, Village Square and Eschenauer, and I mean, they're families like Bruner. The Bruner family, they've been with my family since, I think it was 89 or 90 was the first year that he sponsored Schaefer. And I don't consider them a partner or a sponsor or any of them. They're almost like part of the family or a dysfunctional large family that we are. And the Eschenauer thing, people don't talk about the people that have normal jobs, what it takes away from the business at times. There's times that I know Eschenauer probably wants to strangle me because I'll take off 2 or 3 days to go racing when there is important stuff that needs done at work. But then take like last Sunday, we run the Outlaw shows, and we have some major work stuff going on right now that we're trying to prepare for. So I went in, worked a couple hours on Sunday to try to get ahead to make up for taking off last Friday. It's a very give and take, and I can't thank Craig and Wally enough for giving me the freedom to have the job I have and still be able to do the things in life I want to do.
Well, I think if anybody understands you having to take off and all of that, is those two.
Well, yeah, sometimes the discussions aren't always that sweet and pleasant, though. So, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It is what it is. Well, listen, TJ, we appreciate you coming on and joining us here today and talking about the big win. Congrats again on the win. Good luck the rest of the season. Hopefully we see you in Victoryland a few more times. Maybe the National Open, that big one. That'd be pretty cool to see. Take down the Outlaws again. Tell the other PA Posse guys, let's go and let's grab some more wins against the Outlaws, because that's awesome. Make sure you all share this and you like it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow TJ on all of his social media, his motorsports. Follow Eschenauer as well. And we appreciate you coming on, TJ, and we'll be back at it next week. So thanks again.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. And the only thing I want to end with is I didn't know really what Posse was until you get to see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Standing in the infield and being there when the Posse wins, until that's directed at you, you don't understand what that really means.
That's something else, and we're glad that you got to experience that. Hopefully you get to do it again soon.
I hope so.
See you, TJ.
See you guys.